Evil, the infestation. Evil is not some distant abstract concept that we hear about from storybooks or read about from the movie script of some horror movie. Evil is a living, breathing essence, a parasite that creeps into the bones of mankind and warps the very vision through which we contemplate our existence. Evil does not always come at you screaming, with horns and sirens as if there is a fire. No, it slithers into our hearts and minds so subtle that we habitually embrace it as our own consciousness, as it's wrapping around your psyche like a serpent, whispering lies to your feelings until evil's lies feel like the truth, your own personal truth. Evil convinces the greedy people of the world that they are wiser than everyone else. It convinces the lustful ones that they are free to do as they choose. It convinces the proud idiot that they are stronger and should be placed on a pedestal. And the rebellious fool, it convinces them that they are enlightened, and somehow they just know things. Evil is the architect of every delusion we see and feel today. It forces each of its victims to celebrate their chains of confusion and counterproductivity. It causes them to smile while they are sinking deeper into the pit of perversion, and it causes them to worship the very poison that is causing them to rot from the inside out. This is the unrelenting venom of evil. It twists your very perception of life itself. It convinces mankind that death is pleasure, that corruption is beauty, and that rebellion is strength. Evil blinds people to the reality that they are its literal slaves. Slaves clapping and dancing while the shackles of deception tighten around their necks. It drives women to paint themselves all over, from head to toe with all types of vanity. It drives them to mutilate their bodies with various types of surgery, and then lust is ignited, with its twisted appetite having them believing that it is some type of empowerment. When the truth of the matter is that this is only decay dressed up in glitter. Evil drives men to chase after what they consider as power, to chase after money, and after sex, as if eternity is found in their wallets or in their beds. All this while their souls bleed out like water gushing from an open dam. Evil rewrites reality into a carnival of mirrors, where every reflection is distorted, and those inside the mirror laugh at their grotesque reflection as if they are exceptionally beautiful. Look at how evil twists the minds of children who are raised to believe that lies are normal, that filth is natural, and that rebellion is identity. The world is drunk on sin. They are calling it progress. This twisted perversion of the heart and mind is so complete that when righteousness walks into the room, evil makes people hiss like snakes at the very thought of holiness. Evil has so rewired people's perception that purity is mocked as weakness and corruption is paraded around as power. Now, humanity's very definition of life has been corrupted. Instead of seeing life as the gift of Yahweh Almighty and an opportunity to be perfected into His holy image, they see life as a stage for one's own personal indulgence, for rebellion, and for their own temporary thrills. Evil blinds people to real-life consequences. It makes murderers believe that they are justified in their actions, until the devil leaves them dumbfounded and wondering why they actually couldn't stop themselves. It makes liars believe that they are clever or somehow smarter than their victims. It makes the thief believe that they are simply surviving at all costs. Evil makes the disobedient believe they are free. All the while, the truth is burning in their conscience. But they then drown that out with entertainment, with noise, with dope, and with the lusts of the flesh. Evil thrives on constant noise. It thrives on distractions. It thrives on twisting one's perception so thoroughly that people cannot tell the difference between the left and the right, the holy from the profane, and life from death. They are walking corpses dressed in designer clothing, speaking with eloquence, and yet spiritually dead inside, because evil has hollowed out their perception of what it means to literally live. Evil is a cancer of the soul. It infiltrates slowly, convincing the host that everything is fine, that there is no problem, that a little compromise here and that a little compromise there is harmless. But then the cancer spreads. The eyes become blinded, the ears become deaf, the heart becomes hardened, until at last evil has consumed your perception entirely, and what is left is a walking vessel of deception, a person who genuinely believes that light is darkness and darkness is light. That is the climax of evil's twisted perception, when a human being is convinced that they are their own destruction and they are their own salvation. Now, wicked. This is why evil should not just be hated, but it should be outright opposed with prejudice, because evil is not content with simple rebellion. It seeks to rewrite reality itself in the human mind. Evil has convinced a whole generation of people today that life is meaningless, that truth is subjective, that morality is relative, and that the pursuit of one's own personal pleasure is the highest calling. It has rewritten the dictionary of the soul. What was once sacred is now despised. What was once despised is now sacred. Evil has trained society to applaud abomination after abomination and to mock holiness. Evil is the master illusionist. It takes the sight of mankind and paints a false canvas before it. It makes people call addiction freedom. It makes them call immorality self-expression. It makes them call destruction progress. Consequently, the people eat it up because their perception has been poisoned, and they have no idea that their very definition of life itself is a lie. Evil wants mankind to think that flesh is eternal, to think that gratification is meaning, and that rebellion is power. It whispers, there is no creator, there is no law, there is no consequence, there is no judgment, and every fool swallows it whole because their perception is already diseased. This is why evil must be despised with a hate so sharp that it cuts to the bone. Because evil is not passive, it is not harmless, it is not merely another way of life. Evil is the enemy of reality, it is the corrupter of the truth and the defiler of purity. It seeks to take every human being and to twist their perception of life so perversely that they can no longer recognize that they are literally perishing. Evil is not only an action, it is an infection, a twisting of the mind, a distortion of life itself. And unless it is rooted out and burned away, it will keep whispering, it will keep twisting perception, it will keep turning mankind into monsters who applaud their own destruction. That is why the hatred of evil is holy, because evil is not a game, it is war against perception, a war against the truth, and war against life itself. This is why evil will not be allowed in the hearts and minds of anyone that will be allowed into the kingdom of Yahweh Almighty. Thankfully, in Messiah's name, service, and right hand, so be it.